So good evening.
Good evening.
So could you speak about recently there was a raid in Hany's house.
Yeah.
Could you speak about that and what, as a layperson coming from South, want to know what's happening?
See, this is actually a chain which is moving. I mean, it had started in Delhi from Sai Baba and then Rona Wilson and then it has now Hany Babu. It's basically Sai was targeted to instill the fear among the academic circles, teachers, students, research scholars, to sort of resist from, dissenting, having a different opinion other than the government, other than the establishment here. So Sai was targeted. Sai, as you know, that he is, 90% disabled person, 90% differently abled person, it's 90%. He is a wheelchair-bound person. So by targeting Sai Baba, they were sending a message to the academic community that if Sai can target it, any one of you can be targeted as well. Because Sai was a vocal voice. Any operation, any kind of oppression on people anywhere in the country, Sai would raise voice. Sai was among those who would raise voice, come forward, and protest about it. So that was the government's thing. And then when Sai was arrested, then of course there was a movement in defense of Sai Baba. There is a committee for the defense of G and Sai Baba. So Rona was the person who was actually mobilizing the support for the committee, for Sai Baba and other things. So the Rona was targeted after a while. It was Rona who was targeted. And after the after that, Rona was the next target, and Rona was arrested. When Rona Wilson was arrested, so Hany Babu was actually before that, and Hany was already there, and he was part of this the defense committee of Sai Baba, G and Sai Baba. So now the Hany is also targeted just because he is defending Sai Baba. He is in the committee which defends Sai Baba. So that is actually the instill the fear. Any voice which comes from the academics, any voice which comes from the academic community, whether teachers or students, that has to be it has to be oppressed there. No dissent is tolerated in the universities. No dissent is tolerated anywhere else. It's the when a teacher has some opinion, when he dissents on the government opinion, the government's policies or something, it definitely goes to the students, and it makes the society aware of the things happening around. So when you actually crush that space, when you close that space, where people can actually debate, where people can actually talk about the different things, where people can talk about the government policies, where they can criticize the government policies, make people aware of what is happening, what is wrong and what is right. So that is the space, the university. When you crush that space, when you close that space, you don't leave, you do no opportunity for the people to become aware of what is happening around them, what is good for them, what is bad for them. So they're just closing that space. That is how this whole thing is happening.
Sir, could you explain more about Rona's involvement in various other activities?
See, Rona was part of the committee for the release of political prisoners. After my release in 2004, we thought of, because I was inside the jail, I have seen the suffering of prisoners, and especially the political prisoners. When I say the political prisoners, those are prisoners who are behind the bars because of their political opinion. you know. So I have seen their condition. So we first started in committee. There's a society for the release of political prisoners, and if you remember, there was a, so we started with that. We have actually that society was registered also. So there was different people from different parts of India, the part of that society. Remember Gursharan Singh ji. Gursharan Singh was a theatre personality of India. He was well-known theatre personality from Chandigarh. He was heading that committee. He was president of the committee for the release of this society for the release of prisoners. In 2007, we broadened the platform, and then we founded this committee for the release of political prisoners. And in this committee, you had people from every state in India, almost every state, from Northeast, from Chennai, from different states of Northeast, not one state. You have from Nagaland, Manipur, Assam. Then you had from other states as well. So you have people from Maharashtra, you have people from Bengal, you have people from Bihar, people from Punjab. Again, Gursharan Singh ji was the president, And since Gursharan Singh ji was not keeping good health, so I was nominated as, I was elected rather as working president for that. And I was working, I worked as working president till the demise of, till Gursharan Singh ji passed away. And since then I've been working. I was then elected. After that there was a meeting, and I was elected as president. So Rona was, he was the secretary of this committee, public relations secretary of this committee. So he was looking after the public. He was actually, looking up about the public relations. He would move around. He will gather the support for this. He will go. I mean, there were different, fact-finding committee. Went to different jails, in difficult areas. Went to jails. Prepared the lists of prisoners. So all that Rona was doing. Rona was, actually working for the release of these political prisoners. Sai was the dissent. Earlier there were many others. Like we did, a very famous case of, Lajpat Nagar bomb blast case, where there were 11 people, and they were sentenced to death by the trial court. Many, 6 of them were sentenced to death. We fought that case in the High Court of Delhi, and all of them were acquitted. Rona played a very crucial part in that as well. Then we had other people in different areas, and most of these are from the marginalized communities, Muslims, Dalits, and other downtrodden people. Like there were number of peasants from Bihar who were on death row. We fought their case. Rona was very crucial. Again, he played a very important and crucial role in that, to gather their information, to get their papers, and to talk to lawyers who actually appear for them in the trial court and in the higher courts. Then going to lawyers, arranging all the meetings and everything. So Rona was playing that kind of role, very crucial role. So again, Rona was defending Sai Baba as well. He was defending other political prisoners. The other prisoners. It's not only here. Across the country, there are people across the country. So we were defending them. And these political prisoners, I think most of them are, I think the government takes them as enemy. And I think you are defending the enemies. Though they were people, friends of people. They were the people who are defending the rights of people. So when they are behind the bars, it's our duty to defend their rights, defend them. So I think it didn't go well with the government. So Rona was targeted. Now when Rona is inside, so now, I mean, since after Rona's this thing, it is Hany Babu who has taken up as public relations secretary of of CRPP, and he is again the part of Sai Baba's. He's defense committee of Sai Baba, GN Sai Baba. So he's been targeted. He is being raided. He is being targeted, and through them, then it is the overall intellectuals, academicians, students, research scholars who are being targeted, to instill a fear among them, so that they will not dare to speak against the government's will. They will not dare to speak against the government policies.
Sir, it's for those people who watch, they will have a doubt, which is in this contemporary atmosphere, it is on the air. It's in the air. The feeling of nationalism.
Yeah.
So in that case, the state, if police arrests, there is something in it. And they say judiciary, you can prove, you cannot prove. But even lodging an FIR itself is considered as you are half accused. So court can show anyway, but you are a criminal is a criminal.
Yeah.
So for an example, all these people who are behind bars, they are all behind the bars because of some reason. The state thinks that they are bad people. But Rona was defending them as a people to release. But what is this? How do I understand this?
See, the basic thing is that if you raise your voice against the injustice in the society, you raise your voice against the plunder of the public property. And unfortunately, this is being plundered by the government. This injustice is being done by the government. So anyone who does this becomes a target. So it's these people, these are the friends of people. Now people have to understand. Now you have a law which is UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. I call it Unlawful Activities Protection Act. So it's Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, but I understand it as Unlawful Activities Protection Act. Because see, you just see anyone who has been booked under this law was questioning unlawful activities of the government. So to protect the government, in order to protect their illegal activities, they put all these people who criticize their unlawful activities, they put them behind bars. So UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, is actually Unlawful Activities Protection Act. So they protect themselves from the people who criticize them, who criticize their illegal activities. So people have to understand that, now he's talking about the nationalism. The nationalism of the present dispensation is based on hatred. It is based on hatred. This nationalism doesn't teach you to love, your fellow countrymen. It doesn't teach you that. It teaches you to hate the others, and then they start othering the others. And any community, it can be Muslim, it can be Christian, it can be any minority. So they start othering them. And as I said, that this nationalism is based on hatred. It is not based on love. Anything based on hatred cannot be. It can be anything rather. And you see the fascism, it comes through these are the tools of fascism. What did Hitler say? Hitler also talked about the nationalism. And his nationalism was again based on the hatred. So today's nationalism, which they are sort of, which has become a currency at the moment, this nationalism is based on hatred. It should not. It will, at the end of the day, people will suffer by this kind of nationalism. So I think people need to understand this nationalism. And unfortunately, there was no counter to this kind of hyper-nationalism by the opposition parties in this country. Any opposition, any party which takes part in electoral activity, and any political party which participates in the elections, none of them has challenged this nationalism in that way, because they somehow think that though people believe in revolution, they talk about revolution, they talk about inqilab, and inqilab means revolution, inqilab means a change, but I think they don't mean it. They don't mean it, because they don't want to change the idea of people. They don't want to tell them, whatever you are being fed, this nationalism, which is based on hatred. It is not good for this country. So it was not challenged that way, because those who are in electoral politics, they think if they talk about, they oppose this kind of a nationalism, they might lose their votes. And they don't want to educate the voter about the nationalism, about what is the true nationalism, and what is the nationalism based on hate. You see, that is why we are getting trapped. These parties are getting trapped. You see, remember 2016 JNU, while the whole debate started, February, when there was this huge, the whole debate started with the freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Then you have, JNU, then you have, this Freedom Square, the square in front of the administrative block, where this lectures went on for a month, more than that.
Yeah.
Your struggle was, it started with the freedom of speech and freedom of expression. When you see the lectures which were delivered, it was about nationalism and anti-nationalism.
Yeah.
So you're getting trapped. RSS, which did not unfurl the tricolor on their office headquarters in Nagpur, until 15 years ago, they never unfurled this tricolor on their. They handed over a big tricolor into that, and everybody got entangled in that. So, if you try to, get into that trap, then you are losing your ground. You have to actually educate the people about the nationalism. Even those lectures when they came into this, published, it was in nationalism and anti-nationalism. So that is where you are losing. You're not telling people what is the nationalism, what is anti-nationalism. You're not telling people about the freedom of speech and the way the people are being gagged. It is unfortunate. Now you have lynching going on in this country. You can't just get away by saying that not in my name. You have to start a movement against that. Where is that movement? It has become a norm now. It has become socially acceptable. I think people of India have to understand this, and they have to see whether this country, is it the largest democracy on earth, or that democracy is compromised in this country.
So you were referring to JNU movement of protest. I was not getting. You were saying that the entire debate was on nationalism.
No, entire debate, it started by freedom of speech and freedom of expression.
Yeah.
But it was turned into nationalism, into anti-nationalism.
Okay.
So you are getting trapped.
Okay.
And you are not able to, there's a compulsion, electoral compulsion, which doesn't allow you to, to oppose this kind of nationalism based on hate.
Yeah.
Because you fear that, you may lose vote, and you don't think that you have enough time to make your voter understand what this nationalism is all about this nationalism based on hate.
Sir, in the earlier part when we were explaining, you said he was working for political prisoners.
Yeah.
Who are these political prisoners? Are they Brahmins?
No, most of them are unfortunately not. I mean, there might be some Brahmins, but most of these people are not. They are most of them are. You see, I remember those who were from Bihar. All of them were Dalits. Then you have people from Adivasis, Maharashtra and other places, Adivasis. Then you have Muslims from Kashmir. So most of them are these minorities, these downtrodden communities kind of.
So what was the crime of in Bihar, Dalits being behind bars?
Dalits were, I think there was, I don't exactly remember. Largely, I think there was some that Bhumihars and Dalits.
Oh, that is caste
That's
struggle.
caste.
So basically, you mean that Rona was looking into the cases
Yes,
irrespective of who were there?
No, it is not. Not that's what I'm saying. That it is not the particular thing. Whoever is see the marginalized people, downtrodden people, weak people, wherever we will definitely. And they are behind the bars because of being members of a particular community, being a particular this thing. Particular community, a religion, or a particular, having a particular opinion. if they are targeted, they are political prisoners.
So one question to be asked in this connection is, we find you and SAR Geelani Saab, that is you, and Rona Wilson, who is a Christian, a minority, and then Sai Baba, physically handicapped, OBC,
Yeah.
and Soni Sori, who was an Adivasi. Then you have other activists who are not treated, never treated the way. Hany, again a Muslim, who were never treated like that. For an example, I don't want to take names, but there are people, even the judges rescuing themselves from even delivering,
yes.
and so is there something caste and religion to this?
Definitely there is a bias. There is a bias in judiciary as well. I have said it many a times. There is a bias in there is a bias in everywhere. There is some. That's what I'm saying. That I think, the people need to understand. They need to think about the democracy. Whether they want to see a democratic India, whether the India is a democracy. I think people need to understand this. See, the last resort of any person is the judiciary. But if you go and ask a common man about they will say that they don't really have faith in judiciary nowadays. Because the way that judiciary is actually working. You see that 8 million people in Kashmir are besieged completely for 65 days, more than that. And there are so many petitions pending in the Supreme Court.
And they don't want to discuss that.
They never bothered about that. And then you had trees being felled in Bombay. And it was taken up urgently, and the order was passed that it should not be done. So now, I'm not saying that environment is not of importance. It is very important for the life, for the lives of people. Environment needs to be protected. It is very important. But then those lives of those people who are suffering. So this is how, there are biases in the judiciary. I have seen it from very close corners. There are biases. So I think that one has to be. See, I remember once there was a seminar and I was there, and Justice Rajendra Sachar was there. He was saying in a context, he was saying that judges are also from this society. They're not, they don't come from outside of the society. They are part of the society. So they also get influenced. They also have these biases which are in the society.
Yes.
So I think that has to be. That has to be.
Adding to your point, recently there were some videos. A judge in Kerala was telling that all Brahmins unite, we should protect caste.
Yes.
Brahminism is such a pure thing.
It's not only, you should remember the High Court, Assam High Court, passing an order in that, on those lines. So it's a judge in the High Court. So you see all these kinds of things. So I think that is what I'm talking about the democracy. Democracy is hollowed because democracy is not something, democracy, there are some institutions which build a democracy. Elections is one institution. Parliament is one institution. Then you have, judiciary is, which actually is works as a watchdog. But why is it being compromised? I think we need to understand it. You have one watchdog is, it is the media. It has already compromised. There is no media left in India. There's no impartial, no free and free media left in India.
None.
There's nothing.
Are you sure? None.
There is marginal, not mainstream. There are marginal.
So mainstream there is none.
There's nothing. It's an extension of the present dispensation. It's just an extension of the media, the spokespersons of present dispensation. Nothing else is there. So where is democracy then? When you see all these institutions are nowhere.